I first became interested in tattooing when I was in high school. I was very interested in punk rock subculture, and so tattoos normally naturally came along with that. So I was interested in them. I wrote a 10-page research paper about tattoos and the history of it when I was in high school, but I didn't think about it as a career opportunity until I was in college, because at that point I had sort of interpreted that being a tattooer was like a rock star job or like a reality TV personality kind of thing, and it was very male dominated. So I assumed I wasn't meant to be part of that, and it wasn't until I saw normal girls doing really good art that I thought, oh my gosh, I could do that. I'm a normal girl, I do art. So truly it wasn't until I saw Teresa Sharp, who's a really, really wonderful artist and really wonderful person, and she was really what inspired me to become a tattoo artist. I don't necessarily have one specialization within tattoos. I do a lot of different styles because I have a lot of different interests. So one of them that I'm interested in is neo-traditional style, and I like the sort of difference in the combination between the basic tattoo foundations and fundamentals, and then also mixing it with a more artistic sort of style, using maybe a little more realism elements. So I love that. I love realism for roses, like color realism. I think that's really nice for flowers. It's a lot of fun to do that. It kind of scratches the technical itch in my brain. I also love to do jewelry tattoos for the same reason, that it's a little bit technical, but there's this creative element to them in terms of designing and body placement. And it's also really interesting to see the finished results of those ones. They look really lovely. I think they're very eye-catching for people. And I also love to do animation and cartoon tattoos and anime because that's my interest. So it's fun to hyper-focus on that while I'm hanging out with a client and we're talking about this anime that we love together and doing an anime tattoo. So I don't have one specialization, I have a lot of them. So I've always been interested in art from the time I was 3 years old. I knew I wanted to be an artist when I grew up, but I didn't really know what that looked like. So I always focused on art throughout high school and college, and I spent a lot of time looking at art history. So when I was in high school, I was very interested in pop art, Andy Warhol, Lichtenstein, artists like that. When I was in college, I was more interested in bookplate designers and illustrators like Aubrey Beardsley and Alphonse Mucha, stuff like that. So art history definitely has influenced some of my personal tattoo styles, but I'm also very interested by the media that I consume, whether it's animation, comics, movies, music, things like that also very much influence what I like to do within tattooing. My favorite part of tattooing is the client experience. There's a reason I'm not just a painter in my room, painting by myself for myself. I really like the client input. I like brainstorming together. I like collaborating. I like being able to meet the challenge and figure out how to figure out their set of parameters and give them the thing they want. So really, it's a vessel for me to be able to do art, but with a client interaction, that's the best part of it. When it comes to collaborating, I'm really relaxed about control. I don't want the client to feel like I'm trying to guide everything so into my direction that it's not going to be their vision. And I think it's really important to make the client feel seen and heard. And when they feel like they're seen and heard, then they can give me trust, which allows me to make better tattoo decisions, and then they end up with a better tattoo in the end. So that's the best part about collaborating. One particularly memorable experience that I had while tattooing was being able to do a scar cover-up for a woman who had a skin transplant. So she was doing skin grafting on her arm, and she had a large scar that was there. And she wanted to cover it because, it didn't make her feel great about herself. It drew a lot of attention, and it constantly reminded her of this trauma and the traumatic surgeries that she was going through for a couple years. So being able to give her a really beautiful piece that she could walk away with in the end was nice, because she obviously felt transformed and wonderful and was able to shed this trauma and wasn't reminded of the trauma every time that she looked at her arm. And instead, when people looked, they said, oh, that's a beautiful tattoo, and she had a whole new story. I continue to stay inspired as an artist by being a sponge for knowledge. So part of that for me is doing conventions. Other parts of that is going to guest spots. And I also like to do seminars. And all of those things get me out of my bubble and sort of help me to have a broader worldview that I can approach to tattooing and different clients and different styles and experiences. And all of that pushes me to be a better artist, which makes me stay inspired and not hit a stagnation point. Bone and Blossom is a boutique experience. It is calm, it's creative, it's open, it's welcoming. You're not going to be dismissed here. You're going to be seen and heard in this space. You can trust your artist in this space. And you're not going to feel like you're a number. You're not going to feel like you're a dollar. You might be a client, but you're going to be respected as a friend here.